All right, hello, CUNA. This is the day after the primary elections happened yesterday, and I'm just going to be going over the results and some minor analysis on the victories or defeats. And I will, I did make my predictions. I believe it was, yeah, I believe it was Monday. So yesterday, no, sorry. Yeah, Monday. Today is, just confirming, today is Wednesday. All right. So, County Commissioner District 1, who ended up winning, Ryan Davidson, he ended up beating his opponent quite a bit, quite a bit. Now, it should be known when we say Rhino's Republican in name only, if you go on more like the liberal subreddits or Boise and other Facebook groups, I mean, they openly talk about how they're not really Republicans at all, but they'll say explicitly that, yeah, they know they're rhinos, but they're going to just vote. So, to me, this was a little bit being a voting formerly Democrat, still him getting as high as he did is concerning. But when you start looking at, where these districts are, where these are very high Democrat votes, you can see a lot of this rhino action happening, where fake Republicans are voting for, in their perspective, the lesser of two evils. Okay, so let's go to the next one. This one I put pretty strongly on Tom Daley, and then because it was going to be between these two in terms of how they were going to split the vote, or who was splitting for whom. If so, because Brandon was the one higher, arguably maybe Sharon did she take from Brandon, or did she take from Tom? Who knows? Tom had a huge war chest of like $50,000. And of course, interestingly here, you can see the Democratic districts voted heavily or voted more for Heather. If I were the Democrats trying to do the lesser of whatever evils, I mean, I don't know. That's what one of them was saying from like the liberal perspective or from the Democrat perspective, which is like the least evil. And I guess Heather was the choice for that. The word I was searching for when I made the predictions, I guess two days ago, was scrappy. Brandon really was scrappy, and he had a very solid ground game. And arguably, I'm not sure what the discussions will be. Can you blame Sharon Ullman for taking away from Brandon's votes? I don't know. This is the classic. Or was Sharon actually taken from Tom Daley? I don't know. I don't know enough about that. But anyway, there's that race. The nonpartisans, since I'm here anyway. The CUNA school district levy failed as usual, and I'm gonna come back to this because this is an interesting one when we start talking about what happened with the representative races, because it's very clear here, at least for Ada County, that people were very very strongly against having higher taxes for the school district. So this becomes interesting because when we start talking about who is perceived to be, who would be for lowering your taxes and who would be raising your taxes, these voters did not necessarily vote in line with the representatives that were elected. Well, maybe for one, but not the other. So let's just go through the easy one. So here is. And there could be further results. I think it's like officially canvassed like sometime in June or something. But a lot of these counties you can see here, 3 of 3 counties fully reported. So I'm going to see if I can zoom in here. Okay, so the first race I'm going to be looking at District 23 Representative A. I predicted Chris Bruce would win in that. But look at this. Look at the spread. It was 100 votes. I mean, that's really close. I mean, not as close as literal ties, but that is still very close. And let's see if I still have that here. I wonder if I make it another tab. if it will deactivate. So let's hope it stays activated. Okay, so yeah, by 100 votes, and the precinct level data is not available. I actually did a records request to Waihi. So I did put these numbers specifically in here. I fat fingered it in to get a better idea, because I've been saying all along before that basically Ada County or CUNA brought in about 45% of the vote. Oh, here it is. Here's 2022, how it was in 2022. So CUNA basically brought in 45% of the vote, and Owyhee in 2022 brought in like 25% of the vote. Okay, this was in Melissa Durrant's race that she won in 2022. And what you can see here is that Owyhee definitely mobilized this year, a lot more than the previous one. And keep in mind also, this is an off-year election, meaning you don't have all of the statewide, sexy races for the governor and, attorney general and secretary of state and is it the superintendent of education? So you would assume that there would be lower turnout, but what you actually see here, that there was approximately 220 more, about 220 more votes from Owyhee County. They really showed up, and previously I had said that Owyhee is irrelevant, but the mobilization for Owyhee, they took it up, they took it to the next level, and when you're looking at races that are decided by a difference of 100, okay, those matter. In this particular case, Owyhee, Chris Bruce. Now this is where things get like very confusing about, like, if you want to make the claim that, but let's just go through the results and I'll do the analysis later. Okay, so yes, so Chris Bruce is currently ahead for 100 votes. If he maintains that lead, I'm not sure if there's going to be a recount or something, but as generally speaking, I would call it in Chris Bruce's favor. Now, in terms of Shawn Dygert versus Tina Lambert, I put my emphasis on Tina Lambert. I didn't think Shawn Dygert, I didn't think he would win, and I didn't think he would, considering the policies of Tina and, the way that Shawn was running his campaign. However, I was wrong by, let's see, this is about 200 votes, basically. So 100 votes here and 200 votes. I mean, these are very close races. And remember that number, 100 and 200. 100 and 200. Okay. So let's talk about some of the issues here, or diving more into the data, comparing it 2022 versus 2024, and Owyhee really coming out, out of nowhere, or really stepping up in terms of their showing up. So first of all, regarding my narrative that I've always stated, he who wins CUNA is the kingmaker. They're basically, CUNA is the one who decides who is going to be the representative. Just because even with Owyhee showing up, they're taking, maybe 3% higher. Really, it's still Ada County, southern Ada County, which is still basically CUNA, still brings up the majority of the votes, 43%. So what'll be interesting is to see one day somebody who loses CUNA, right, but somehow wins South Canyon County and Owyhee County, and then they clinch the deal. Then my theory is completely off. I mean, the population density is there. All right, so let's just go through some thoughts here. Okay. Let's I had called it previously for Chris. For Shawn Dygert and Tina Lambert, I was wrong on that. So what can account for was essentially 200 votes. Um, One of them is Owyhee County. So I actually looked it up where Shawn Dygert lives. He actually lives in Melba in Owyhee County. He doesn't live in Cuna. So both Tina and Shawn, they do not live in Cuna. But Shawn is a teacher at now. He's a teacher in the Cuna High School. So, that certainly gave him a leg up. Now, and the other thing which I noted was the lack of social media presence from Tina Lambert on her social media. Like there was no Facebook page, whereas contrasted that with Shawn Dygert, who had, he had major Facebook posting and interactions. Of course, he would ban ban the opposition. Now, I can't necessarily say that that is an effective, strategy. Because one would wonder what would have happened in an alternative universe where Tina Lambert had a much more active social media presence. So I'm not, I'm friends with her on her personal Facebook page, but because the posts are not public, I don't want to disclose what she's posting there. But definitely she could have been like if she was equally as aggressive as Shawn Dygert was regarding the social media posts, when we're talking about a difference of 200 votes, I mean that could be it right there. I mean there could be other discussions, but that's I don't know exactly the I don't know exactly her campaign. I don't know how much she canvassed. So, but this is where it gets interesting because she typically campaigned with Chris Bruce, who won. So you have, and they kind of ran together in terms of endorsements as well. And also regarding the precinct committeemen voting overwhelmingly for Chris Bruce and Tina Lambert. So this is almost kind of like a schizophrenic. If you were looking at this only from like a policy perspective, like Tina Lambert was the superstar of like just a superstar in terms of minimal government spending and even the very minimal reviews or interviews that she did. I mean, it's very clear, very impressive in terms of being as close to the Constitution as possible. And so, and then on the flip side, when you start looking at it from the agricultural side of things, of who Iacki was supporting Melissa Durrant, okay, and she lost. And then Iacki, or the ag, big ag, was supporting Shawn Dygert, and he won. Melissa Durrant her family is like very involved in the Farm Bureau, I believe. I mean, they're a well-known name within the farming industry. So for Chris Bruce and Owyhee, you would think is highly agricultural. For Chris Bruce to beat out Melissa Durrant, it just shows in Owyhee, where you would think, agriculture will be super important and they would want a representative. It's shocking here that by 100 votes, more than 100 votes, that Chris Bruce beat out Melissa Durrant. It's clearly not a policy issue. That's what I'm trying to say. Because if you wanted to say it's a policy issue, all of the Owyhee farmers are going to be voting for their own self-interest, it would seem like it would be Melissa Durrant, right? But that was not the case here. So it seems like it's more of the ground game You know, Chris's social media side of things was a lot more personalized, and it probably was him posting it himself. Melissa's was more, I guess, professional and likely was outsourced to a different company. Shawn Dygert's definitely was outsourced. It wasn't him posting things. So yeah, that is a bizarre thing. And then, okay, the other thing, the reason why I wanted to bring up the school levy here is that if it was a policy issue, that is a weird thing here. You got 2,362. This is in Ada County. So, more people ended up voting here. So 2,362 are voting against the supplemental levy. Okay. So if you were to look in Ada County alone, okay, who's going to be the one? Okay, but here's the thing. It's 2,362 and 1912. 4,274 votes total. Okay, a lot. Oh, because you know what? This is nonpartisan. This is nonpartisan. So, okay, actually, this is worse because then the Democrats would more likely be in favor. So if it was just the Republicans who voted against it, and I'd have to do analysis on that. Actually, can I see that? Just seeing the Republican vote. No, I don't see that. Okay, so just looking at it, then if you were to just take the Republicans, more likely you would have seen a higher percentage against than in favor, a much higher percentage. So this is 55.3 to 44.7. So let's say you take the only Republicans, let's say it's 60% and 40% in favor. So 40% in favor, 60% against. Okay, when you are... Tina Lambert was on the JFAC committee, and she consistently voted no on increased spending. I mean, consistently, like almost 100% reliably. And if you talk to her specifically, she's not even okay for property taxes to be used for libraries. I mean, she's very minimal government type of person. So you would think that in Ada County, if people were voting based off of 100% on policy, Tina Lambert should have been guaranteed. Not even close. But instead, what you see is the exact opposite, where you have Shawn Dygert beating out Tina Lambert in Ada County, where it should have been Tina Lambert beating out Shawn Dygert 60% to 40%. Okay, so on YouTube, I did a LDS analysis about East Idaho politics, and the discussion on there was people are not voting on policy; they're voting on likability, on who you know. It's not, how do they say? It's not what you know; it's who you know. So. Shawn Dygert in CUNA, he's been teaching there for a long time. I guess, that person recognition. A lot of people were, perhaps some of the voters were former students of his. And I'm assuming he was one of the cool teachers. I mean, he taught farm agriculture, in high school. So, Tina moved in here, pretty recently, maybe within the last 6 or 8 years, and both of them do not live in CUNA. So that CUNA home field advantage, or South Ada County, belonged to Shawn Dygert because of that. And the only way, it's very difficult, very difficult. And so, yeah, this is a prime example where it had nothing to do with policy. It boggles the mind. It boggles the mind for Ada County. Okay, I'm doing kind of a scattered brain here. So when I was saying earlier, I I think no, I already talked about the fact that Owyhee County really showed up here. You can see for her votes in her district, in 2022 it was 1540, and then Owyhee came out. 300 more people came out and voted. 300 more people, and Canyon County really let her down. And Tina actually believes she lives in Canyon County. And you can see here in terms of the comparison for Owyhee, it was 627 votes in 2022, and then 300 and that's three. No. Whoa, my math is bad. 250. About 250 more people came out in this election, whereas no, I'm sorry. My math is, I'm looking at these tables. So yeah, it's about 300 more people came out to vote from Owyhee County on an off year, which is very, very unusual. Who was the one who mobilized Owyhee to come out? I would say, I don't know that, by looking at the campaigns, to me, it would seem that Shawn Dygert was the one really pushing Owyhee County. Yeah, and I believe he is an officer with the Republican Central Committee there. Okay, so here is Canyon County. You can see here they did not show up as much. This is 200 votes right here. Okay, and when you look at how Tina gained here, she only gained maybe 28 votes. Okay, 28 votes. It should have been much higher. So yeah, the Canyon voters really let her down. That's her home district. Yeah, if she carried that more, so you can see she did edge out Shawn Dygert, but only by 15 votes. And then the last one here is Ada County in terms of, well, we already looked at Ada County. So that's kind of, looking at it from county level. On the precinct level, we're just gonna have to wait on that data. But if you can see here, basically, because Canyon didn't show up and Owyhee really showed up bigly, they're back in the race. I can't say anymore. You can just ignore Owyhee, like I said here, and just focus on Ada and Canyon. I mean, I guess I would need to look at the precinct level. Once I see the precinct level and see where the numbers are, maybe you can just go to Homedale or something. In Canyon, I'll need to look at that as well. But yeah, this is overall on the state level. My general impression from the reaction from the Liberty side of things was it was a victory for Liberty and a defeat for the mainstream Republicans, the big corporation Republicans. So here, let's go to Chris Bruce's thing. I said before, his name recognition in CUNA is big, obviously, because he's a city councilman. So he, remember, this is a difference of 100 votes. So every vote counts. Here is a difference of about 50 votes. And this is where it gets weird regarding Canyon County. Canyon County, when you look at, Brian Lenny, when you look at some of the senators there, when you look at the center, sorry, I'm having brain farts about names. Tammy Nichols, and Brian Lenny, absolute, superstars in terms of liberty focused issues. And you see here, it just something. How is it that Canyon County voted for Melissa Durrant? How? And this, I guess, this kind of parallels again between, because they're voting both on the tickets. How Tina Lambert's showing was so sad. because they just did not show up. I mean, because somebody who's voting for Melissa, like I said, it's schizophrenic. This whole thing is schizophrenic. Um, you have people voting for Melissa Durrant and then not Shawn Dygert. And, I can't make this, I can't even contemplate how a voter chooses Chris Bruce but not Tina Lambert, or votes Melissa Durrant but not Shawn Dygert. This is where there is some kind of something is going on. Something happened in South Canyon County that I cannot. It's just schizophrenic. So maybe it's just more about relationships there. And I don't know if Melissa Durrant, really focused her ground game. I'm not sure. I'm not, that those are things I don't have information on in terms of canvassing. Now, remember also, Chris Bruce was much lower in, I think he had like $7,000, and Melissa Durrant's campaign had like over 20,000, or about 20,000, more than about double. So, yeah, Chris really, really hauled. He worked hard for this. He worked hard for this win, for sure. Yeah, it's just there's no I want to make some kind of narrative about rhinos and mainstream lost and all of that, but if I come down to it, I'm going back to the East Idaho. Was it Bryant? Anyway, what he was saying with the LDS there, it's not your policies. It's not the policies. This is an example of it has nothing to do with the policies. You can't say it's based off big ag, because that Melissa Durrant should have won for sure in Owyhee. You can't say it's about low taxes, right? Because you can even see here, South Ada County was basically for the Republicans 60% for lower taxes, yet they went for Shawn Dygert. CUNA went for Shawn Dygert, who is hostile toward what he calls the right wing extremists. So that the right wing extremists that are for almost zero taxes, and cutting and school choice and cutting programs, government programs, and that's the extremist narrative. It's not in Idaho politics, it's not over the moral level. When it comes to abortion and gun rights, they're all probably going to vote the same. I never had any sort of criticisms for Shawn Dygert, for Melissa Durrant, for that. And, Tina and Chris, would vote, on the moral aspects. It's, Idaho is very solid. And, it's very, very, no problems. It's the economic policies. It's the taxing. It's the budget approvals. And so, yeah, it's not that. So it's not the ag. It's not the taxes. It's not the policies. It's not the moral issues. So what is it? It's just, it seems to come back down to the ground game. Who is out there? Who is on the social media? Who is engaging? And yes, even if you say that, yes, Shawn wasn't really the one typing and blocking people off of his Facebook profile, at least somebody was on his behalf, versus what you had with Tina Lambert. Both Melissa and Chris, they could probably have better engagement, but Chris's engagement is like putting his cell phone number on social media and publicizing it for everybody. So you just talk to him directly. So I think that's just the policy. Okay. So now I'm going to say one caveat, and I'm not saying it's going to be like doomsday with Shawn Dygert. We have Todd Lakey, who is, I think, 50% on the IFF Freedom Score, 50 to 60%, and likely Shawn Dygert will probably be another Todd Lakey, One thing which is interesting that he posted, one of his Facebook posts, was that he's not in the teachers union. And for somebody in, teaching in public education for as many, I guess, decades, as many years as he does, and he is not in the teachers union, that's like, whoa. That is, quite surprising. So, the question that arises is, will Chris Bruce vote in such a way that replaces Tina Lambert, right? In terms of liberty focused. Now, I'm not going to guarantee one way or the other, because I remember it was Yamamoto, Julie Yamamoto, when she ran. She said all the right things, but then when she actually went in office, it completely changed. But I'm optimistic. I always have hope. We cannot guarantee how anybody will vote, no matter how much, I may personally like them or how likable they are. That seems to be irrelevant in these votes. The policy does not seem to matter. It's just getting the boots on the ground and, yeah, that ground game, that communication, that fighting for every single vote. I mean, this is crazy. 100 votes right here. 100 votes. Difference of 100 votes. And down here, for Chris Bruce, 100 votes. And for Tina Lambert, it was 204 votes. Now, I will say on the other side, this is only a $20,000 part-time job. It's like for like 3 months out of the year, but your name is going to get slung in. I mean, this is not like a full year, full-time job sort of thing. So they have other lives, and it'll be interesting to see how it works with the school year and Shawn Dygert, because they're in session while he needs to teach. So does he just have like a substitute teacher for like 3 months? And then the other thing that'll come up is Chris Bruce running as a city councilman. Now, city council meetings happen in the evenings, like at 6:30. But sometimes, I'm not sure. I don't think councilmen are full time. I'm not sure. I don't have enough understanding to see how that will work, especially if it's just 3 months. So maybe he would resign for those 3 months or something, or I'm not sure how that'll work. But anyway, this is one of the things that I gave Tina $1,000, and one of the things that I'm thinking about, especially when it's just down by 100 votes, like that's like, I mean, that is so small. I feel like personally feel as though, man, if I, instead of giving her that $1,000, if I just volunteered to manage like her Facebook page or something, maybe like just to at least I think she has one. Actually, now that I think about it, I think she has one, but at least create one and then just put some stuff on there and get some clips of her maybe talking about different policies. Toward the end, I took Brian Ullman's videos. He did an interview with her, and there was, I clipped some like shorts. So, maybe if I focused more on that probably would have been more beneficial in terms of getting votes rather than, the $1,000 that I did. But, it is what it is. Everything in hindsight, right? Hindsight bias. But, life goes on. And I think on the state level, like I said, it works out. And, I'm confident, Shawn Dygert will probably be, based off of what he said, he'll be a solid 50%, like another Todd Lakey sort of voting, which is, which isn't the end of the world. I mean, it's still, Idaho is great in terms of the moral issues, and will continue and stay there. And as long as you have that, that's what attracted most people to Idaho. It certainly was not the low taxes in Idaho. So, all right, that's about it. Have a good one. Bye bye.